And welcome to episode 3 of the Ultra Posty Thoughts in My Head podcast. I am your host, Adam Lee. Thank you so much for once again tuning in. I'm excited, how could I not be, for another episode here, as this week I'm going to talk strength training with the Morgan Method's Kylie Morgan. Super pumped she joined me. We had a really good talk. I think you're all going to enjoy it. Just learning about strength training, why it's important, not only as a runner, but just living in general. So I really enjoyed that chat. But before we get to that, I just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you who are listening, but especially all of those who have participated over the last couple of months. I've had around, I think 50 of you, 50 different runners have participated in the newsletter in one way or another. And that's just really cool to me. That's sort of the whole point of this thing, is to be community based and just include everyone. And I think so far it's kind of finding its feet. So thank you very much, everyone. This has been really cool. And if you want to get involved, feel free, obviously, to reach out. Let me know that you're interested. If there's anything that you want to know about as well, please, because that's, again, what this is about. So reach out, let me know. And speaking of reaching out, if you haven't already, please go ahead, subscribe to the newsletter. You'll get updates right in your inbox as soon as I post. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Both of those accounts are Ultra Posty. And yeah, I'm just super excited to connect with you all. We've touched on a few things at the newsletter since I talked last. I had a great post with speaking about my Endure ambassadorship and those socks, and talking to some other ambassadors. That was pretty fun. And then the ultra tips from ultra runners was a super fun one that had almost 30 other runners participate with a couple of tips each. And then lastly, just this last week, the Solomon Trail Labs post went up, and that's talking about a really fun run that goes Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. along the North Shore. So check that post out for more information about that. And then in the coming weeks, I've got a post coming up. It'll either be the next post or the one after, but it looks like it's going to get published somewhere too, in a real life magazine. So I'm pretty excited for that. I'm going to wait till it publishes for real, until it goes up on the newsletter there. But yeah, I'm excited to share all of that with you. That's about all I wanted to get to before we talk to Kylie. So without any further ado, let's get to that. Today I'm chatting about strength training with Kylie Morgan from the Morgan Method. Kylie has a bachelor's and a master's degree in exercise science with a particular interest in cardiovascular physiology. That's the result of spending nearly a decade of her adult life educating herself about these things, and an even longer time working in the fitness industry. She absolutely loves trail running, yoga, snowboarding, and strength training. Of course, I love trail running too, and that's what this newsletter is all about. But today we're going to specifically talk about strength training and how it's something we all need to be doing if we want to stay healthy in the long run, especially if we want to be running. Kylie, thank you so much for being here today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate being able to delve into your mind a little bit. I know strength training for me is not something that I've ever really taken that seriously until about the last year, when I started to see the light, if you will. But if you will, even just like for someone like me, just tell me about why strength training is important, not even so much for running, but just for life.
In general, yeah. All right. So I have a whole big list of good things.
Excellent.
So in general, it lowers our risk of injury, as that improves strength, improves our range of motion, the mobility of our muscles, our ligaments, our tendons. It can prevent muscle imbalances if we're following a well-rounded program. That's the big if there.
Right.
It improves our cardiovascular health, decreases our blood pressure, lowers our total and our LDL cholesterol. That's our bad cholesterol. And it increases our good cholesterol and improves our blood circulation. One session of strength training a week can reduce your risk of heart attack or stroke by 40 to 70%.
That's wild. Just once.
Just once. And that's independent of any cardiovascular exercise you're doing.
Oh my gosh. And what is one strength training? Is that like a half an hour? Is that an hour?
The study had 30 minutes. Yeah.
Perfect.
So
okay.
Pretty good bang for your buck.
No doubt. That's not so bad at all.
Yeah. The increase in muscle mass we gain from strength training helps with improved blood sugar management. Strength training improves our bone health, which decreases our risk of osteoporosis, falls, or fractures. It improves cognitive function. And it's very much a use it or lose it. We lose muscle mass as we age. So it's important to be strength training continuously.
It's funny. I only saw something about that recently, and you'll probably know this better than I do because I can't quite remember, but it was something like 4 to 6 pounds of muscle. Was it every decade we lose that? Like it's just, that's wild.
Yeah, it is.
So strength training can keep that going and not lose that.
Yeah, absolutely. And everything I mentioned there, the cardiovascular health, the brain health, the bone health is very important as we age, regardless.
Yeah, totally. I know it's easy to get short-sighted and just think like, well, I want to run a 50-kilometer this year and this is what I need to do, and not thinking like wider, like how do we get into our 60s, our 70s, our 80s and still be mobile and not sell out for that one race when we were 35 or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. So my personal belief in exercise in general, I never want my health to limit what I want to do. So I want to be, my parents-in-law, they're mid-60s. She's run the Boston Marathon. He does Ironman.
Oh my gosh.
On all these fabulous holidays, like through Europe, and walking holidays and everything that my grandparents, when they were that age, couldn't do.
Yeah, totally. That's fair. I've not done a lot of traveling. And one of the few things we noticed was the one trip I got to go on, we visited Venice as part of that. And I saw a lot of people in their 60s with their bags having such a problem. And it was a real moment for my wife and I, like, we don't ever want to have to deal with traveling like that. When you finally get to go, you want to be able to move around.
That's the thing, right? You work your whole life and then you get to that age and you want to be able to do what you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny too. I saw it, and I know we've been looking to get this podcast together for a few weeks. So this post is a little older now, but on your Instagram feed, it was, you had the right answer and the wrong answer to everything. And it was just the right answer was strength training. It was so funny. Yeah.
Yep. It's not easy, but it's simple.
Yeah, totally. So bridging that sort of into the trail running then is,
yes.
Yeah. How does someone sort of structure their strength training to benefit them the most as a trail run?
So the thing with running, let's say road running first.
Yep, perfect.
It's straight. It's all in one plane of movement. When we then get into the trails, we start going side to side. We're dodging rocks, we're dodging roots, we're dodging creeks.
Right, ideally anyway.
Yeah. And so it's really important to be training our body in different planes of motion for that reason, because that's when injury happens, when you're not prepared. You take a step to the side and you haven't been training in that direction. And that's when those muscles can't take the load that you've put them under because they're not accustomed to it.
Right.
So in terms of strength training benefiting runners, all of the things I mentioned are important for runners anyway.
Yes, of course.
But injury prevention is huge, obviously. Many running injuries are due to muscle imbalances or weakness. Strength training improves our running economy. We want to be economical.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's largely due to neuromuscular improvements. Your brain is talking to your muscles and it's telling it to recruit the most fatigue-resistant muscle fibers.
Interesting.
So that we're more economical as we run. So then your longer run feels easier because you're more economical. One really cool study showed that an 8-week strength training program improved 10K time by 2.5%.
Wow.
So speed as you gain, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, totally. I think that, and especially with the road running, that's, I think what everyone's chasing is the times.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but if you think about the movements that we're doing on the trails, you can correlate them to the gym very easily. You climb up into a rock, that's a big step up, or a lunge.
It's nice to have the base, right? Like the support when you're out there, and kind of, because I know, especially for me, and I think a lot of other runners, when you start, you just think that you have to run, like to get better, to get faster, you just run more, you run more, you run more, and then you end up getting hurt, and you're like, why am I getting hurt? And there's no base there.
Exactly. Yeah. We want our muscles, joints, and bones to be up to the demand that running places on
them. How about, because I'll get into the strength training. It's happened to me a few times. I've gotten better as the years go, but motivation starts to lack. Like, it's like you get on it and you do it 2-3 times a week, and then 2 months later, maybe it's 2 times a week, and then another month later, it's like once every couple of weeks, and then it's like I don't remember when I did it last. Yeah. How do you keep your clients motivated and excited to keep training?
Well, the thing is, motivation's kind of fake. It's never going to be there.
Fair enough.
You're never always going to be motivated to do something. So it's more consistency and dedication. What is your end goal? I like to tell people, if they're really not feeling their workout that day, they just really don't want to do it, give themselves 10 minutes.
Right.
Just get through your warm-up. 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to continue because you feel good.
You feel good, yeah, and you started.
Yeah, and if you don't feel good, then hey, no worries. You gave it a shot. Try again tomorrow.
That's totally. Yeah, totally. It's all about making that initial effort, I guess.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Kylie, as we've discussed, the whole point of this podcast is to be short and sweet. So we're already filling up our time. I'd like to end by hopefully you telling us a little bit more about yourself and how people can find you and what benefits that they would get from linking up with you.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. So my business is called The Morgan Method. You can find me on Instagram at themorgan.method. Got a website, www.themorganmethod.ca. I have a 6-month strength program specifically for runners. So one of the key things about strength training is you need to be training with a purpose.
Yes, absolutely. And I also noticed you have a free yoga for runners on there.
Yeah. So if you hit my website, you can find a free little mini ebook, yoga exercises for runners. And
Excellent. Well, again, thank you so much. We're so excited. This is the 3rd episode of the Ultra Posty podcast, and you're our second guest. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me. It was lots of fun.
Amazing. You have a great day.
You too. Bye.